Let me ask you something. Have you ever spent days eating almost no carbs, cutting out bread, pasta, rice, doing everything right, and you still feel tired, foggy, and stuck? You're waiting to feel that famous keto clarity, that steady energy, that fat-burning momentum, and it just doesn't come? Here's what most people don't realize. Getting into ketosis isn't just about eating less carbs. Your body has a very specific biological checklist it needs to run through before it will flip the switch into fat-burning mode. And if you miss even one of those steps, you can stay stuck in metabolic limbo for a week or longer, frustrated, exhausted, and wondering what you're doing wrong. Today, we're going to fix that. My name is Dr. Boz, and if you've been here before, you know that I don't teach keto as a diet. I teach keto as a metabolic tool, one backed by physiology, biochemistry, and real clinical science. Because when you understand how your body works, you stop guessing. You stop suffering through what people call the keto flu, and you start seeing results fast. So today, I'm going to walk you through 5 science-backed hacks to reach ketosis faster than you ever have before. No trial and error, no wasted weeks, just 5 precise, physiologically grounded tools that work with your body's own chemistry, not against it. We're going to talk about the glycogen trap most people fall into, a Brigham Young University study that changes everything about fasting and exercise timing, the one fat that bypasses your entire digestive system and goes straight to your liver to make ketones, and 2 hidden factors that silently block ketosis, no matter how strict your diet is. Stay with me, because the next few minutes might be the most useful thing you watch this month. Here are the 5 science-backed hacks we'll cover today. The 20-gram carb floor, why your threshold matters more than you think. The exercise first protocol, deplete glycogen fast using a Brigham Young University proven method, strategic fasting windows, how to use your sleeping hours to accelerate ketosis, MCT oil, the liver shortcut, the most direct, research-supported path to raising ketone levels, electrolytes, and sleep. The hidden blockers destroying your ketosis before it starts. The metabolic gate you must open first. Let's start at the root, because all 5 of today's hacks are built on this foundation, and without understanding it, nothing else will work. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Think of your liver and muscles like a fuel tank, but instead of gasoline, they store a carbohydrate-based fuel called glycogen. The average person carries somewhere between 400 and 500 grams of stored glycogen in their body. And here's the crucial part. Your body will always burn through that tank first before it ever touches your fat stores. That glycogen is the locked gate between you and ketosis. Now, the standard ketogenic recommendation is to stay under 50 grams of net carbs per day. But here's where most people go wrong. They eat 45 grams, think they're doing great, and wonder why their ketone strips show nothing. The reason is simple. 50 grams is the ceiling. For most people, especially those who are new to keto, have insulin resistance or carry some metabolic stiffness from years of high-carb eating. The real target is closer to 20 grams of net carbs per day. The most effective approach for reaching ketosis quickly is to limit carbohydrates all at once, rather than gradually reducing them day by day, because this helps the body adapt faster. Keto veil. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine you're trying to start a fire using damp wood. You can light match after match, but the fire won't catch until the wood is dry enough. Your glycogen stores are the wet wood. Reducing carbs slowly is like adding a little heat. But dropping to 20 grams daily is like putting that wood in an oven. You dry it out fast. You create the conditions for the fire, for ketosis, to actually ignite. Here's the practical protocol. For the first 5 to 7 days, target a hard cap of 20 grams of net carbs daily, not 30. Not kind of 20 with a few bites of fruit. 20, track it, read labels. Hidden carbs are everywhere in sauces, dressings, processed low-carb products. Foods like ketchup or honey mustard dressing may seem harmless in small amounts, but carbs can quickly accumulate if not carefully tracked. Diagnostics health. Your food plate for this phase should look like this: fatty cuts of meat, eggs cooked in butter, leafy greens, avocado, olive oil, full-fat cheese. These foods have little to no effect on blood sugar. They keep insulin low, and low insulin is the master key to everything that follows. Before we go further, if this kind of content is exactly what you've been looking for, consider subscribing. I post science-based, practical content like this every single day, and I'd love to have you in this community. Now, let's move on, because the next hack is one most people never use, and it might be the single most powerful tool in this entire list. Deplete glycogen 3.5 hours faster using science. Now that your carbs are at 20 grams, let's talk about how to burn through those glycogen stores faster. Because here's the thing, even on a strict low-carb diet, your body still has hundreds of grams of stored glycogen waiting to be used. Diet reduces the intake of new glycogen, but exercise is what drains the tank that's already full. Here's what the research shows. A Brigham Young University study asked 20 healthy adults to complete 2 separate 36-hour fasts. One fast started without exercise, and the other began with a challenging treadmill workout. The result? When participants exercised at the start of the fast, they reached ketosis on average 3.5 hours earlier and produced 43% more of the key ketone molecule called beta-hydroxybutyrate, or BHB. Medical Express. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your glycogen stores as a large barrel of water. Reducing carbs means you've closed the tap. No new water is coming in. But the barrel is still full. Your body won't start tapping into your fat reserves, won't start making ketones until that barrel drains low enough. Exercise is the pump that actively empties the barrel. Diet alone lets it drain slowly. Diet plus exercise empties it in a fraction of the time. Here's the critical insight from that study. The exercise needs to happen at the beginning of your fast, not after you've already been fasting for hours. The theory is that early exercise burns through a substantial portion of glucose circulating in your blood and muscles, creating an immediate fuel deficit that pushes the body to begin ketone production much sooner. High-intensity interval training, also known as HIIT, depletes glycogen stores faster and can speed up the keto adaptation phase. Research also confirms that resistance training on a keto diet increases overall fat burning and boosts muscle strength. Ketogenic. The practical protocol here is straightforward. Start your fast after dinner, let's say 7 p.m. Wake up the next morning, and before you eat anything, go for a 30 to 45-minute session. It doesn't have to be extreme. A brisk walk, a light jog, a bodyweight circuit. The goal is not to destroy yourself. The goal is to drain the glycogen barrel. Then continue your fast for as long as comfortable. Even short movement throughout the day adds up. Small movements like parking farther from a store, taking stairs, or simply moving more frequently all contribute to burning through glycogen stores. Keto veil. The combination of low-carb eating plus morning fasted exercise is one of the most physiologically efficient ways to trigger ketosis. And now you have the science to back it up. Your sleep is already doing the work. Here's how to use it. Here's a question I love asking patients. Did you know you've been fasting for the last 8 hours every single night of your life? Every time you sleep, your body is in a mild state of fasting. Insulin drops, glucose slowly depletes, and in some people, depending on their metabolic health, ketone production begins to flicker on during those overnight hours. The question is, how do we extend and amplify that natural window to push us fully into ketosis faster? This is where strategic intermittent fasting becomes a powerful accelerator. Intermittent fasting helps the body use up glycogen faster because it isn't relying on food to sustain itself between eating periods. Fasting periods typically last between 12 and 40 hours. Diagnostics health. Here's what's really going on inside your body during a fast. In the first 12 hours of fasting, your body uses up its remaining blood glucose. Insulin drops to baseline. The liver, sensing low glucose, begins releasing stored glycogen. By hours 16 to 24, glycogen stores become significantly depleted, and this is the threshold where the liver begins increasing ketone production from fat. When glucose drops, ketones go up. This inverse relationship is a real-time indicator of how efficiently your metabolism is switching from sugar to fat. Fasting center. The simplest and most sustainable fasting protocol to start with is a 16.8 window. You eat during an 8-hour window, say between noon and 8 p.m., and you fast for the remaining 16 hours. Most of that fasting happens overnight while you sleep, which means you're only extending your fast by 4 to 5 hours on each end. Here's how to do it without suffering. Finish your last meal by 7 or 8 p.m. In the morning, drink water, black coffee, or unsweetened herbal tea. These do not break your fast, and they do not spike insulin. Black coffee in particular is powerful because caffeine mildly elevates free fatty acids, giving your liver a little more raw material to make ketones. Break your fast at noon with a high-fat, low-carb meal, eggs and avocado, a fatty piece of salmon, a salad with olive oil and tuna. Combined with Hack 1, your 20-gram carb floor, and Hack 2, your morning fasted exercise, this 16.8 window creates a compounding effect. Each hack amplifies the others. You are draining glycogen through diet, draining it faster through exercise, and extending the fat-burning window through fasting. Your body has no choice. Ketosis arrives. If this is resonating with you, by the way, this is exactly the kind of content I share every single day. Subscribe so you don't miss it. The one fat that makes ketones without needing ketosis. This is where the science gets genuinely fascinating. Every fat you eat, whether it's olive oil, butter, or avocado, follows the same digestive highway into your body. It gets broken down in the gut, packaged into particles called chylomicrons, enters your lymphatic system, travels through your bloodstream, and only then arrives at your liver or your fat cells. This process takes time, and most of those fats don't get converted into ketones unless your insulin is very low and your glycogen is depleted. Medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs, are completely different. MCTs are rapidly digested and absorbed. Unlike most fats that travel slowly from the gut into the bloodstream, MCTs are shuttled directly to the liver, where they can be used for energy or converted into ketones. Ketone. Let me draw this out simply. Think of long-chain fats as trucks that have to take the scenic route through the lymphatic highway, around the circulatory loop, before they arrive at the liver factory. MCT oil skips all of that. It takes a direct portal vein express right to the liver. And once it's there, MCTs increase acetyl-CoA in the liver, which drives ketogenesis and the release of ketones directly into circulation for immediate energy production. Science direct. This is why MCT oil is uniquely powerful. It can raise your blood ketone levels even when your glycogen isn't fully depleted yet. It essentially gives your liver a head start on ketone production before your body has fully made the metabolic switch. What does the research show? In a controlled clinical trial, participants using MCT supplementation alongside a ketogenic diet achieved nutritional ketosis, defined as BHB levels above 0.5 mmol/L, approximately 2 days earlier than those using a standard fat source. PubMed Central research also shows that the most ketogenic form of MCT is caprylic acid, C8. A dose of 20 grams of C8 produces a significantly stronger ketogenic response than 10 grams, and the optimal strategy is to start with 5 grams and gradually increase to 15 to 20 grams to avoid gastrointestinal discomfort. PubMed Central. Here is your practical protocol for MCT oil. Take 1 tablespoon of high-quality C8 dominant MCT oil in the morning, ideally after your overnight fast. Add it to your black coffee. This is the classic bulletproof combination. The caffeine and the MCT work synergistically. Research suggests that consuming MCT after an overnight fast, without an accompanying meal if tolerable, and adding caffeine may slightly increase the ketogenic response. PubMed Central. Start with 1 teaspoon the first few days and work your way up to 1 tablespoon. Going too fast can cause stomach upset, and that discomfort is completely avoidable with a gradual approach. Within 30 to 90 minutes of consuming MCT oil in a fasted state, you can measure a meaningful rise in your blood ketone levels. This is not a magic supplement. It won't put you in deep ketosis on its own if you're eating a bowl of pasta. But as part of the complete protocol we're building today, it is a genuine physiological accelerator. The 2 silent blockers no one talks about. You can do everything right. 20 grams of carbs, fasted exercise, intermittent fasting, MCT oil, and still feel terrible on day 2 or 3. Your energy crashes, you get headaches, brain fog, muscle cramps, and you think you've failed. You haven't. You've hit what's commonly called the keto flu, and understanding exactly why it happens will help you crush it immediately. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When you significantly cut carbohydrates, your insulin levels drop dramatically. This is the whole point. But insulin doesn't just regulate blood sugar. It also tells your kidneys to hold onto sodium. When insulin drops, your kidneys begin excreting sodium at a much higher rate. Sodium loss then drags potassium and magnesium out with it. Within 24 to 48 hours of starting keto, you can become acutely deficient in 3 of the most critical electrolytes your body needs: the keto flu, the headaches, the fatigue, the brain fog, the heart palpitations, is almost entirely an electrolyte depletion problem. Not a keto is bad problem, not a sign your body is rejecting the diet. It is a mineral management problem, and it has a very direct solution. Your electrolyte protocol during the first weeks of keto should look like this. Sodium. Add 1 to 2 grams of quality salt to your food, or add a pinch of sea salt to your water. Potassium. Eat potassium-rich, keto-friendly foods like avocado, leafy greens, and salmon. Magnesium. Take 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate at night. This form is the most bioavailable and has the added benefit of improving sleep quality, which brings us to the second silent blocker, and this one surprises most people. Sleep. Getting plenty of sleep, in addition to exercise, low-carb eating, and fasting, is one of the key ways to accelerate the transition into ketosis, ketogenic. Here is why this matters physiologically. When you sleep poorly, less than 6 hours, or disrupted low-quality sleep, your body releases cortisol. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone, and one of its main jobs is to raise blood glucose by stimulating something called gluconeogenesis, the liver converting amino acids and stored fats back into glucose. In other words, high cortisol actively works against ketosis. It raises blood sugar. It raises insulin. It tells your body, we are in danger. Do not switch to fat-burning mode. Keep glucose available. Poor sleep is quietly keeping you out of ketosis. 1 or 2 nights of bad sleep can stall your progress for days, especially in the early phase. Your action plan? Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of sleep during your ketosis induction window. Take your magnesium glycinate 30 minutes before bed. It calms the nervous system and supports deeper sleep. Turn your screen off an hour before sleep. Keep your room cool and dark. These are not soft suggestions. They are direct interventions in your metabolic chemistry. Electrolytes stop the suffering. Sleep keeps cortisol low, and both of them are prerequisites for your body to stay on the fat-burning path. Let me bring this all together for you. Ketosis isn't something that just happens when you stop eating carbs. It's a precise metabolic state that your body transitions into when a very specific set of conditions are met. And the difference between someone who reaches ketosis in 2 days versus 2 weeks comes down almost entirely to how well they manage those conditions. Today, you learned 5 of the most powerful tools to get there faster. First, drop to 20 grams of net carbs. Hard. That's your metabolic gate. The glycogen tank must drain before ketosis can begin, and 20 grams drains it faster than 50. Second, exercise at the start of your fast. The Brigham Young University research showed that just 45 minutes of exercise at the beginning of a fast can get you to ketosis 3.5 hours earlier and boost ketone production by 43%. That is an enormous physiological advantage for a single workout. Third, use your sleep as a fasting foundation. The 16.8 window stacks your overnight fast into a meaningful glycogen depletion window. Your body is already doing half the work while you sleep. Extend it slightly and you amplify the result. Fourth, add MCT oil in the morning, fasted. This is your liver shortcut. C8 dominant MCT oil bypasses your entire digestive system and arrives at your liver ready to be converted into ketones in real time, even before you fully depleted your glycogen. It raises BHB measurably and gives your transition a meaningful head start. And fifth, manage your electrolytes and protect your sleep. The keto flu is not inevitable. It is a mineral management problem. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium are your daily armor. And poor sleep raises cortisol, which raises blood sugar, which quietly blocks ketosis even when your diet is perfect. Here is my challenge to you today. Don't try to implement all 5 at once starting tomorrow. Pick one, just one, that resonates most with where you are right now and implement it precisely. Track how your body responds. Notice the changes in your energy, your hunger, your mental clarity, then layer in the next one. That's how sustainable metabolic change is built, not through perfection from day one, but through informed, consistent action, one step at a time. If this video added real value to your health journey, if it gave you something concrete you can use today, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You'll join a growing community of people who are taking their metabolic health seriously, using science instead of guesswork, and building energy, clarity, and longevity naturally. I'll see you in the next one.